Hey, Unchainers! This is Timmert, and you're listening to the Unchaining Me podcast. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm so glad you could tune in. So this week, it puts a smile on my face to introduce you my guest. Well, she is my friend. I am blessed to be able to call her my friend, but she's also someone who inspires and motivates me. Picture this, someone that you can be vulnerable with, someone that is so wise that you call them with anything. They give you their honest, non-judgmental perspective on things, but you get away from that call, you get off from that call always better than the time you got on it. She is that for me, and for many other people, she is a coach, a life coach. She is a trainer, international leadership trainer. She's a John Maxwell certified life coach at that. And she lives every part of that title. She is someone who motivates and leads in her day-to-day life, in her family life. She's a mom and a wife, a sister and a beloved friend, and she lives that in every area of her life. I am a testament to that. We have this beautiful friendship that I've waited for a long time to be able to say I have, which is, there's no judgment, there's no competition, there is collaboration, there is helping each other, there is sharpening each other in our friendship. And just any conversation in the day can turn into a whole podcast if we recorded it. That's the kind of friendship I have with her. We were fortunate enough to serve together on many stages. We met after I was on the Helen show. Me and my husband were on the Helen show, and she reached out to me on Facebook, and she said, I have an event coming up in DC, and I'd love to meet you. And I said, sure, definitely. So I went to watch her speak and to connect with her. And as she is giving, I remember the event was about, the workshop was about forgiveness, and I was so invested, I was so present in everything that her and her event partner were sharing. And I remember as she was speaking, as she was teaching, I could picture us doing this together. I connected with her on so many different levels, and that's exactly what I said to her when we talked a few days after that. I said to her, I see us doing a lot of this together. And then a friendship was born and a collaboration was born, and I'm really blessed for it. We went on to serve on Empower the Community Weekend a couple of times, once in person and once virtual. We taught together, we gave workshops together. I was able to go to Texas, that's where she lives, to give a women to women, which is what she organizes. Like, this woman is busy living a passionate life of service, and it's so vivid to see it. She lives it out loud. There's no ambiguity. You don't leave guessing what she stands for. She is that direct, clear, and focused and on fire for her purpose, and she motivates me because of that. And she tells me so frequently that there's so much out there for us to do and for me to do, and she sees the best in me. So enough about me sizing her up because she deserves it. I know some of you might already know her if you follow me on different platforms that I share our work on or I advertise our work on. But some of you who may be new to her and her work, I wanted to give you that background information of who Helina Girma really is. And I know she's going to fill your cups today. I know you're going to end this podcast. If you're unsure about, we're going to talk about purpose. If you are unsure about yours, you're going to be on fire, motivated, inspired to go find it. If you knew what it is or know what it is, but are unable or we're not able to act on it, move it forward, you're going to end this podcast with a very clear idea of what you need to do to move your passion forward. At least you're going to be clear about wanting to move it forward. And the details, like I love to say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I think for some of you, for many of you, dare I say, Helina Girma might be that teacher that you were waiting for. So you are in the right place. There's no accidents. And I am so happy to be able to bring this to you. And this is going to be the first of many. I know she's going to make repeat appearances on our podcast, but I'm so glad we're talking about purpose today because that's her area of passion. She loves talking about this. And really, when you think about it, what better thing to talk about than purpose? Because the world needs more of us lighting up with the passion of our purpose. The world is full of people blaming, complaining, suffering, regretting, anxious, hating, dividing. And more than ever right now, we need it, our youth need it to act according to what they were put on this earth to do. And if it's one fight we all fight, if it's one thing we pursue, it has to be that life of purpose. And Helina is going to drill that home for us today. Without further ado, listen to my chat with my dear friend, Helina Girma. Enjoy. Helina, thank you so much for being here, for making the time to be on the podcast. Thank you for many things. Thank you for being a dear friend. I call her regularly. We talk on the phone, sometimes for hours. We're just bouncing ideas sometimes, being very vulnerable with each other at times. And she is someone, well, you are someone I truly enjoy talking, and every conversation I end being better than when we started it. So thank you for who you are to me personally. Thank you for what you do out there, your passion when you're serving, when you're helping that one person who's in front of you. And it gets me excited to do what we do. So thank you for accepting my invitation and being here tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, to me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on your podcast. Actually, this is a dream come true. I've always wanted to chit chat with you, and we do it on almost on a daily basis. And just like today, I was telling you, this should have been recorded, or somebody else needs to hear it. But it's a pleasure. I love what you do. I love having you as my friend. You're a great influencer. You're changing so many people's life. You being vulnerable and authentic out there is helping so many women in particular really unchain and find who they are and transform their life for the better. So it's a pleasure, and I love watching you do what you do best. And it's a pleasure to serve with you on stages that we shared before, and more to come on our way. So I look forward to many more deep discussions as we unchain and transform our life together. I love having you as my
Oh,
friend.
I
Thank you.
don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And that's something we like to say because Helina's company is Inside Out Transformation and mine is Unchaining Me. So we always talk how unchaining kind of comes before because we have to let go of the limiting beliefs, the conditionings, the things that had chained us from pursuing our true identities, our true purposes, or we're going to talk about purpose tonight. And how after the unchaining has to come transformation, that wherever we've left a void and removing something negative, we have to plant something positive in it and actually transform our lives. So it's almost like we talked to each other when we started these companies. We didn't. We came up with the names, on our own. But I think that's one of the singularities of our lives because we're pursuing really similar things, and we have the heart of serving others. And I absolutely love that about us. I love that about you. So thank you again. And so diving into our topic, which is purpose, I thought about what do I want to talk about with Helina first time she's here. This isn't the last time. If you honor me with your presence, there's so many things I want the world to hear us unpack. But I thought purpose has to be it, because it's just so important. Whatever we do, whatever any other skill or any other concept that we teach people, it's really meaningless if that person is not at least aware of that person, of their purpose existing, or if they're not in pursuit of it, if they're not actively pursuing that thing. So I've done an episode, a podcast episode on purpose, but talking about it with you, picking your brain, getting those nuggets from you is absolutely priceless. And I wanted to make sure my listeners got that about purpose. And it's actually one of the common questions that people ask me. I did a question once. I asked people, what do you want, us to talk about on this podcast? And purpose and identity were tied in the top place. This thing really matters to people. But then at the same time, there's other people that are like, they don't know how important it is. They may not have found it, or they may not even really know about it, or they may have a wrong definition of it. So to start off, I want to ask you to tell us what it is, what it's not, and why it's so important to drill it home, to talk about purpose frequently.
Purpose, it's just a great topic to pick on. Like you said, it's just purpose is our map for life, for us to be able to lead a meaningful and worthwhile life. It's the main component, it's the fundamental component for us to discuss it. So what a great topic, and what an honor for me to tackle it with you. So purpose to me is the reason why something is created. I'm holding a pen, and and I'm wearing reading glasses, and both of them have different purposes. They're not created to serve, my glasses are not gonna write for me, and my pen are not gonna serve me as seeing better. So if tools are created for a specific purpose, for a specific reason, for a specific task, so are we. Our creator created us for a purpose, a reason. So it is why we get up in the morning, why we are here. Not every pregnancy lasted in a birth, and not every birth has grown to be a human being or an adult. So to me, if we're still alive and kicking, we have a purpose to live for. So why not? And the sooner we figure it out, the better our life would be. And we won't be taken by any wind that comes our way, because we're aimless. We don't have a roadmap as to why we're here on earth. So to me, purpose is something that we have a responsibility, and it should be our joy to find what it is, because it truly, truly help us serve. Because I'm sure you agree that life is all about serving others. We're here. I didn't know that when I was younger, for sure, but we're here to serve each other. So what is the purpose of me? If I don't know my purpose, then I can't serve you, if I can put it that way. So to me, purpose is not a strategy. It's not a goal. It's not even a thing that we find. It's much more bigger than that. It's, like I said, it's fundamental component of a meaningful life, but it's bigger than us. It's not something we get. It's something we become in the process. So the sooner we find it, the better, because I want to point out that how people strive to find success instead of finding out their purpose before success. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people out there want to be successful. And what does it look like? If you're chasing success without knowing your purpose, you're trying to imitate somebody else.
Right.
But you got to know, because it's like you don't have a GPS as to where you're going. So how would you define your success if you don't know your purpose? How would you measure it? Because if you're chasing just success by itself without knowing your purpose, you'll be setting up yourself against somebody else's success, or sitting above somebody else's failure. So you're not gonna you are hindering yourself from reaching your own potential,
Yeah.
writing from your own story, becoming who you are, because we are uniquely made. We're not, nobody's like Timmy. I mean, there is no other Tim in the world. Even if your daughters are not gonna be you, your
Right.
mom wasn't you, or your sisters are not you.
Mhm.
So we are uniquely, divinely created. So in order for us to serve our unique way, to show up who we are, to be the best version of ourselves, we need to know our purpose.
Mm.
And that way, I show up fully. And by being fully myself, by being the best version of myself, then I get to serve you, you know? So to me, is like finding purpose should come before success or heading for successful life. Um, and why not discuss purpose? Because it's really, truly the main component.
It truly is. And when you say success, what does it look like for us? And we won't know unless we know our purpose. It's so
Mm-hmm.
sad to notice that there is this preconceived notion of what success should be for everybody. And it's almost like we just grow up accepting it. We don't think about it. We just accept it. Success is
Mm-hmm.
the house, the car, maybe,
Yeah.
marriage and some kids. And that's that ideal. People think of that as success. And yes, there are some commonly fulfilling things that we can think of as
For
human
sure.
beings that could fulfill us, or that could make our lives better, give us freedom and things like that. But individual success has to look and feel and sound different to all of us. And we can only get
Absolutely.
that by finding our own purpose.
Exactly. Because as you said, success is very relative, right?
Yeah.
It could be something else to you and something else for me. For some underprivileged people, success is, having the basic needs, having a shelter under their roof. I mean, eating a meal a day could be success. So success could be relative. Some people measure it based on their financial status, some based on their academic achievements. Everybody's success could be different, but we can all share one meaningful definition for success is serving our purpose. If we could all, like, for me, success is really living and leading a life of purpose, and knowing it. And I might not be the richest person, I might not be the most educated person, and I don't need to be. I might not be a certain class, or I probably don't belong to a certain race, and I don't need to be. I am Helena, and I'm uniquely should be expressed out there, serving my purpose, and that makes me successful. Success can be defined in many ways, but I think we can all agree that somebody living their purpose, serving their purpose, can be seen as successful. Otherwise, the other measurements compared to what? Like, I can say I'm successful in my education compared to who? There are people out there with 3 PhDs,
Mm.
or somebody could be successful in marriage. And, you know, we can all give a different definition. But I think one thing we can agree is, if you serve your purpose, to me, that's a true meaning or definition of.
What do you think of purpose making our choices easier? Because there will be these, sliding door moments in our lives where we look back and we
Yeah,
say, if I took that road, my life would have been completely different. If I took this choice, my life would have been a lot different. And people are faced with choices sometimes, and some people struggle what to pick,
absolutely.
which way to
Yeah,
go. But don't you think, or wouldn't you agree that if you have a clear sense of purpose, those choices tend to be just a little easier because you
absolutely.
have that map.
Because whatever is not aligned to your purpose, you can easily say no to.
Mm.
It will help our decision a little bit easier, because that's not out of your line. It's not going to take you, or it's not going to make you the person you're striving to be.
Yeah.
So having a purpose is like a roadmap. You know where you're going. You can reroute sometimes. You can face challenges for a road that is closed,
You
so to
you may
speak,
need to
like
make
an
a
escape
U-turn.
route. Absolutely,
Yeah.
but that it might take longer, and so be it. There is a reason for that, because the process is the main ingredient in this thing. But along the way, if you have a purpose, it's so easy to make decisions. It's so easy to pick your friends, because especially in the country that we live in, it's a land of opportunity. And there's so many things out there, and the choices are great, but they can confuse you. It's like going to a buffet and you kind of, I don't know what to eat. Everything looks yummy,
Yeah.
but not everything is good for you. So what I'm saying is, like, if you know your purpose, for sure, it will help you to make decisions easy. It will help you to choose the right friends, the people that can influence you and challenge you to be the best version of yourself. So yes, for sure, if you know your purpose, you save a lot of time. You save a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you don't get heartaches along the way, but it's a chosen one, or maybe those heartaches are part of the process, part of the
They
marinating
strengthen
process.
you.
They strengthen you. They
Yeah.
make you better.
On
They
a
make you
different
stronger.
stage, I've heard you say this and it stuck with me. You said there's two types of pain. Remind me if I'm not saying it correctly. You said there's two types, but there's purposeful pain and there's pain without purpose.
Yeah.
You told me that, was it on a stage, or you were telling me because I was going through that appendicitis
Possible, but I
surgery,
remember
appendectomy?
sharing it on Helen's show on on EBS, on the Ethiopian Broadcasting, one
Yeah.
of those.
Yeah.
I forgot the whole name, but so there are painful moments in our life. Some of the things that happened to us when we were kids, the choices somebody else made for us, because we're not we're not old enough. We're not at the age of reason where um, we couldn't protect ourselves. So painful moments we didn't choose, but for us to reflect back on them now, it will help us, because if we don't reflect back, we don't get the insights, the juice, the insight, because experience is not the best teacher unless it's reflected,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you go back to the pain again, a lot of us avoid that. We want to forget about it. We want to shove it under the carpet. But then that painful situation, so dormant, yet controls our decisions we make now. That happened years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So going back is painful. But then when we go back on purpose, when we go back choosing to kind of get the learning out, or when we go back to get healed from it, it's painful, yet it's a healing pain, because you're gonna be better off. You're gonna get the nuggets. You're gonna get the pointers. You're gonna get the learning from that bad experience. So there's pain that you're going through it, but pain going back to reflect to get the learning. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's like when you're driving, we focus on the windshield rather than the mirrors on the side. The mirrors on the side are for us to reflect on the past. So going back to the past to get the learning is a pain, but it's a healing pain. It's a
Okay, because that
strengthening
was,
pain.
yeah, I
Definitely.
was applying it to what you said earlier. It doesn't mean the journey, the on purpose journey, the journey that we lead while being on our purpose. It doesn't mean there's no pain on there. There's pain
Mm-hmm.
on there, but it's
Oh yeah,
worthy pain.
it is worthy
As
pain.
right, because as you
Yes.
go, you're feeling your way through it. When
Mm-hmm.
something's painful, you gather the strength from it, you gather the lessons from it, you know how not to do something going forward on that purposeful
Yeah.
journey, you know how to do things different. You may have picked up a couple of people that weren't supportive on your journey of purpose, and that pain that you feel or you face will teach you better next time when you pick people on your
Oh
journey.
yeah.
Then are they in alignment with my purpose? So it's a very strong lesson that you left with me with that. So going back to, by the way, I have a list of questions that I wanted to ask you, but I haven't asked any of it. This is just us talking. And I just want our listeners
Okay, bring it
to
on.
have
Let's just
an
yeah, yeah.
idea of what happens when me and you are talking. Some people are cynical about purpose. Some people are like, you're born, you live, you just,
You die.
you die, right?
Okay.
You survive, you
I
eat,
know.
you survive, and then you die. And they just roll your eyes when you're talking about this purposeful journey and finding that meaning and giving back and finding that thing. This journey to some people is a waste of time. What do you
Mm-hmm.
have to say to them?
before I tackle that question, I was thinking like with the painful experience, we can come back to that because
Okay.
the painful experience, the challenges, the hurdles, or whatever we want to call them, or the mistakes or the failures along the way are we need them. They're a necessary evil, if I can say it. But we can come back to that. So for the cynical people, I would say let's compare. I understand people can be cynical, maybe because they didn't know any better. It's all in our thought process, isn't it? Maybe growing up, I think I've always liked to use this quote. I don't know who said it, but it says we're all tattooed in our crib by the people who raised us. So whatever was tattooed, the thought process that our parents, our guardians, whoever raised us, the community, the society we grow up in, the dominant thought process is what we gained when we were little, and we had no control to reason it out and weed it out. So we were tattooed, we downloaded, so we have that information. So people, where they're coming from, they can have that cynical thinking in terms of, or maybe through pain and nobody showed them, or they tried something and they failed and they said, this is just no reason, I'm making money anyway. So, but compared to people with purpose and those who have no purpose, there's a huge difference. I mean, um, research can really support this, because people with purpose are more fulfilled, they're more comfortable, they're more value based,
Mm.
they're not selfish, they want to live a selfless life, they want to leave a legacy, they want to leave this life better off than it was before they joined it. You can see so many things that not just financial gain, but the impact they leave. I mean, we can bring a lot of people to the picture, like Nelson Mandela, the price he paid. What was his purpose? His purpose was equality, freedom, like, democracy. And he paid a high price for it. He lost 27 years of his life if we're just counting the years that he was in prison.
Mm.
But because of what he did, his action, his courage, and he came out stronger and brought the country to unity. I mean, that's generational, not just in South Africa, but all over the world impact. So people with purpose can shine out. Those are the people who are making a difference. We can think of Thomas Edison, the Wright brothers that brought flying into and making human beings' lives so easy. A trip that will take 2 months before, and now takes only 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people with purpose are the ones that leave their marks, their footprints.
Mm.
Those are the one making a difference. Those are the one who are leaving a legacy. Those are the one who being innovative and creating many things. So the difference between people with purpose and people without is a night and day. If you have a purpose, you don't get swinged by any wind. You don't do things because the peer pressure or somebody else is saying moo and you're following that moo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference. So I would say, let's compare and see, because, and then, to ask yourself as to why they don't think purpose is that important. That, I think, for me, it's a self-image issue
Mm.
too. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but for the most part, if you don't know you're worthy, if you don't know you have something worthy to contribute for society, then you don't think it's important, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
how I see myself is how I see others.
Your sense of self, like knowing your life purpose, gives you a clearer sense of who you are. It gives
Absolutely.
you a sense of belonging. It gives you, it also increases your confidence. Knowing that purpose
Absolutely.
gives you
Mm-hmm.
confidence, gives you easier choices. Your choices are a whole lot easier, like we mentioned earlier. So it's definitely, when you said probably through nurture,
Mm-hmm.
something was put into them that life is just a struggle. You just make money,
Yeah.
survive, and you die.
Mm-hmm.
And these things were shaped by people who themselves were shaped by others, keeps going back
Absolutely. It's a cycle.
generations. It's a cycle. So yeah, that's probably where that cynicism comes from. I think.
Absolutely. People with
Yeah.
purpose are more big picture people. They're not short sighted. They don't try to cut corners and get away with it. Like, they don't want to reach quick, be rich quick by
Shortcuts.
doing
Yeah.
whatever it takes.
Right.
So, and then
Yeah.
when you have a purpose, I think you will eventually, even though you might not get it right away, eventually you develop a we attitude rather than me attitude, because
Mhm.
nothing great can be done by one individual.
Yeah.
I think we are expected to play, like I said earlier, be the best version of yourself, and I be the best version of myself. Together, we serve each other.
Of course. Yeah.
So
And
it's
I
not
don't want
me;
it to
it's a
sound
we
like
attitude.
we're somehow
Mhm.
talking against hustling, the hustle, the working hard, the being
Oh
resourceful.
no,
We're
no, we're
actually, we
not.
actually are saying those things are important, but it's which one comes first is the thing. Are you
Oh
finding
yeah,
your purpose and then hustling and being resourceful to bring it to fruition, to see it,
hmm
to come to pass? Or is the hustle just to survive? Uh,
yeah.
or is it fueled by a mentality of lack and uh, serving yourself? That's what we're
Mm.
saying to watch out for.
No, exactly. I hear you. I mean, you might go through two, three things before you figure it out. Do you know what I mean? Like people can start a business in the sense of I want to make money and be a businessman, but somebody else can say I see a need and here is my talent, so I find a solution. So a business should be an answer for a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can come, but you can try different businesses until you find the one,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name. I recently read a passage about somebody in America that came up with some kind of theater. I wish I could remember, but I was reading it with my daughter, and he tried many. He ventured into so many things before he figured it out. Before he got into this show business. So what I'm saying is, you can hustle, and the hustle could show you the path. The hustle could be uh, your way of figuring it out. It's like driving in a foggy day. The more you drive, the clearer the fog would be. Like, so the more you hustle, you might find it. But then are you just hustling to make money? If that's so, then you're gonna live a mediocre life. You're not gonna fulfill your soul's purpose. You're not gonna be, you be chasing your tails. I mean, for the most part, you'll be surviving, not thriving.
Beautiful. Yeah, there's nothing to add to that. I want to get a little more personal with you, my dear.
Sure.
And I want you to share with our listeners how your sense of purpose was shaped. When was the time that you awakened to your life's purpose? Did you know it right away? Was it like, I got this, this is what Helina was put on this earth to do? Did you, like you just spoke, have to venture a few places to find it? How was that? And looking back, what do you wish you knew about purpose when you were first awakening to yours?
That's a great question. I didn't know my purpose right away, for sure. I think but I can tell the audience that I was shy, very timid, very not so sure about myself. I mean, I was a very quiet person. So I prefer to be quiet, and I lived in that title because I was given I was given this persona that I was a nice kid, somebody decent, somebody. So I lived under that box, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it kind of limits me to find who I was. So struggles of life, that's how I found out. So what happened was I was separated from my family by choice, and I was in London. My siblings were in America, and my parents were in Ethiopia. So that kind of division and being sheltered with my family, I was very homesick. So my way of coping with that was writing a letter. Like I'm constantly writing. I write poems. I write letters. So through that, I found out I can write, the idea of writing. Actually, a friend of my dad's, he has a great sense of humor. And this time he was traveling back home, and I gave him, a few envelopes, and he looked at it and he kind of made a joke saying, you should be a journalist for your dad. And then the person I am very, I internalize things. So I was on a train ride saying, journalist, I really don't like to be in front of a camera. Like, I'm very shy. I'm not confident to be in front of people. And then that writing thing clicked. Hold on a minute. I write pages and pages, and I like to write poems. I mean, I could be a writer. So that was a hint right there. But then I think how I figured out my purpose was after college or when I was done, I couldn't find a job. There was a time of my life where I was very down. And looking back, now I knew I was depressed. I didn't want to leave my bed. Like, I was I felt worthless. And it was during that time that I was watching the Oprah Winfrey show, and she was challenging her audience to keep a journal, like a gratitude journal. I never heard of that. Never heard of that. What I did was I was like, it's not gonna harm me. I bought a notebook and I started writing. And sure enough, just like she said, I could only put three things down. I mean, thank you God for my parents. I don't remember what I wrote. But Oprah kept saying, if you keep it up, if you're consistent, the more you do it, the more things you'll find. And sure enough, my attitude towards life started shifting. I started to look, the trees and smell the roses and kind of see like life, the seasons. I started enjoying a lot of things. Sure enough, I found a job, my life started changing. And then I said, and I picked up this book. So that was when I transitioned. I think I was 25, 26 around that time frame. Uh, I shifted from reading fictions to non-fictions. Like, so there was this book that used to talk to me. I used to walk into W.H. Smith. I'm sure you travel to London.
I
W.H.
know
Smith
that
is one
story.
of the
Yes.
stationaries.
Yeah.
So I went in. There was a train trip that I had to take that particular day. So I went in and I wanted something to read. I didn't pick up. I love to read. So I picked up this book, Feel the Fear, Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers.
I gifted
That
that
book
book to
changed.
my sister just last
Oh
year.
my God, I
Yeah.
have two copies of it.
Yeah.
That book really changed me. It was like, what? So the butterflies I fear, they're a good sign. I'm about to adventure into something else. But that book transitioned me to really look into myself and do the self-discovery process. So that's where it began. But then the letters, the emails came on. I find myself writing an email to somebody who's going through something at 2 a.m. in the morning. So from giving them my heartfelt advice, sharing my compassion or whatever little wisdom I had at the time, I started seeing myself like digging into books, like trying to find, to quote and reference, saying, I according to so and so, this is what you should do. So I find it through that process of trying to help somebody. Initially, I wanted to be a doctor, and my main reason was to help people. I didn't know that I can help people in this way. So it is a process of searching that made me find my purpose. So that's what I mean earlier when we say hustle. You can go through, you might not figure it out right away. It is a process. It's like mining. I mean, they have to dig and find the gold, and it has to be washed by water and then go through fire, whatever it has to go through to come up with its beauty and uniqueness. And that's when the prices would know. That's how pricey would get, right? The same thing with us. It's the process that would get us where we are. The main thing is we have to know there's work involved, but the work is not a labor that you do. It's like being curious, being paying attention to who you are and what makes you think, what makes you lose sleep, what makes you forget to eat,
What gives you
what
joy, right?
yes, what gives you joy, what makes you cry, what are the crises out there that really makes you find yourself sobbing over. So those things align together, all the dots will start to connect and make sense and say, aha, this is what I can do. So never in my mind, never ever thought that I would be a speaker, never thought that I would be out there speaking. I mean, it still puzzles my mom as to how I'm out there in the public. So, but you will find it through the process. So I didn't find it right away. I wasn't planning to who I am now. I found it through a process of understanding me, knowing me, really studying me, and the need out there. You know, like I said, like if somebody loses somebody and they're struggling, I want to be able to feed them something, not food, but you know what I mean. Like I want to shift their
Feed
thought
their
process. I
soul.
want them, yeah, I want them to see it differently. I want them to sit from to make decisions from power instead of. I don't want their failure or that grieving process define their future. So that that passion of helping somebody helped me find my purpose.
Wow, that's so powerful. That's so powerful. And I know the story. The way you share it and how you bring it all together is just so powerful. So, would you say that the person that you yourself needed at some part of your life, let's call it the mess or the messy middle or the messy part of life,
Mm-hmm.
would you say that that image influenced who you wanted to become for others? Do you think there's a part of that in finding your purpose when you are in the dip, in that messy middle or in the mess of things?
Mm-hmm.
Then you come out with a message and you say, spreading this message can be my purpose. Do you think people can find their purpose through the messes that they go through in their lives?
Oh, absolutely. It's the mess that gives you a message. Like you said, the mess and message, it's the pain that give you purpose most of the time. You see people that went through losing a child, by being kidnapped or, some horrible story, but then they turn around and they make lawmakers change laws.
Mhm.
So they
Mhm.
can give us a purpose for sure. So, but the mess, the suffering, when we find when we align it to a purpose, it stops being a suffering at all. I can give you an example. There was this guy that I read a book for, Man Searching for Meaning. I don't know if you read it. Man Searching
Viktor
for
Frankl.
Meaning. Yes,
Mhm.
that guy, he was a medical doctor during, the Nazi, and he was in Nazi concentration camp, and he lost a wife, he lost his parents, and it was a dire situation. They were barely surviving. They were being tortured. They weren't eating. But during that suffering, he found a purpose. He started treating patients in the prison, in the camp.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there was a moment in his life where his friends found a way to escape, but he declined. He said, "I found a purpose. I'm here for this patient." Sure enough, he survived it, and later on, he came up with logotherapy, which is a study of meaning and purpose, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So he said, suffering ceases to be what it is the minute you find a purpose to it. So
Mm.
whatever we're going through in life, it can be a message for sure. We can help somebody else not get there. So even though it's not comfortable, it's where exactly where the juice comes from. I don't know if you understand. Like, it's not, our purpose is not related to a wish or a comfort. It's nothing to do with our comfort. You can't be comfortable and serve a bigger purpose, right?
Yeah.
So the middle mess, is critical. It's even needed. It's a requirement. You need to
It
go
is.
through some kind of tough time, right?
Yeah. There are times that I look back and find myself being thankful for things that
Mm-hmm.
caused me so much pain.
I
And
agree.
it puts me in a very weird predicament that if I talk about that experience because
Mm-hmm.
it's made me the strong person that I am, or be able to relate to people, help people have the empathy, and the thick skin and all of that, then would I be undermining or underrepresenting the pain that people are going through when they suffer that? Sometimes I'm in that predicament, but obviously you have to pass through the messy middle, squeeze out the purpose out of that, find the message in that mess.
Your
You don't.
courage
Yeah.
to go through the pain
Yeah.
and come out strong, come out better instead of bitter, can help the people around us.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: we're all leaders by our own rights. I
Mm,
mean,
mm,
if leadership is influence, if me leading my life is influencing my daughter at a minimum, and my husband at a minimum, and you, my friend, or the coworker, my sisters, my brothers, then it was worth going through that pain, wasn't it? I probably didn't choose the pain,
yeah.
but having that mindset, me being courageous, me being better, is influencing somebody else. So it gives other people the courage to carry their own cross, so to speak.
Yeah.
The courage to carry on, living life, because life is not a straight line. It's gonna go up and down,
Yeah.
but the up and down, if we expect it ahead of time, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. At the
nobody
very
likes
least,
challenges.
you can
Mhm.
save them from being around a bitter person. At the very least.
Exactly. At the very least.
You're
And the other thing
sparing
is,
on that.
who likes challenges? Who likes difficult times? Nobody. Who has them? Everybody.
Yeah.
So here is the thing: it's a matter of attitude to say, okay, challenges come my way,
Yeah.
but I have to stop seeing them as bad, labeling them as bad. I have to see them as a learning curve, or you know, something that it's gonna strengthen some kind of muscle,
Yeah.
something that will make me a better person. If we see it that way ahead of time, so when it comes, we don't panic.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, why me? Instead of being a victim, we can say, why not me? And what am I learning from this? And who can help me go through this? And, we go to an action, and instead of just, being limited by it,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to touch is like going back to the pains and like the doubts and the difficult times and everything else. The only thing I wish I knew I wish I knew I was enough. I wish I knew that I grew up being compared to my dad. And my dad used to compare me with my brother, who used to be smarter. So I thought, um, he doesn't have to study. I had to study. So we're just different. He has a photographic memory. He can easily scrum and remember everything. Or hear a teacher teach something and he would remember. I wasn't that child. I was the kind of, the disciplined child who sat down and read 2, 3, 4 times for me to understand it. But there was nothing wrong with that. We're not all created the same way. But I thought I was less than. I thought I wasn't enough. I thought I had to be a certain way for me to make it in life. So my message here is, whoever listening to, don't compare your children if you have children, or don't compare yourself with anybody else, because we said earlier, we're uniquely formed. So I might not be academically sharp, but so be it. You have something else valuable for others. And we're meant to, like I said, we're meant to complete each other in life, not compete with each other. The best person we can compete is with ourselves, because am I getting better from how I was last year? That should be it. Of course, it's good to look at your peers to see where you are, but not to compete with them exactly, because they don't have the same experience. They don't have the same upbringing. They don't have the same resources as you do, or they don't have the difficulties and the challenges or the obstacles that you faced. So I wish I knew that. I wish it was
You know,
me, and who I was enough.
I'm going to challenge you a little bit here,
Okay, go ahead.
Helene, and tell you it's a good thing you didn't, because that is part of your mess. That is part of the mess that gave you a message. One of the
Absolutely.
questions that I'm growing to dislike is, what would you tell your younger self, or what would you tell your 20-something-year-old self? Because I want to be in a place where I can answer that question as nothing. I won't, I won't tell her nothing, because the pain she felt because she didn't know then what she knows now
Yeah.
is exactly what makes her who she is now, is exactly what makes her be able to relate, to connect with others, express herself with confidence, because she suffered the pain of not being able to do those things. And she truly believed that she wasn't worth it. It's the depression, it's the lack of self-confidence, it's the loathing of life that now makes her empathetic and be able to relate with people going through pain. So would you be able to say,
That was a good challenge.
I
You're
knew,
right. I mean,
you
for
know what
that
I mean?
person,
Like,
that
I
that's
knew everything I had to know, and that's it.
yeah. I hear you. I hear you. I take that
That
challenge
thing
on
that,
board,
is it Oprah
because
or Maya Angelou say, wouldn't take nothing for
for
my
my
journey.
journey.
Now, remember that part?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
If we
Yes.
truly took nothing for our journey, then, we knew
But
everything we
yeah,
had to know.
I wouldn't be the Helena. I have to share something with you. Like, even though when I say I was compared to, I know the intent in my dad's heart wasn't to break me. It was actually to make me stronger. And one of the things he did for me is, he named me Helena. And in Amharic, Helena means, what it is. It's our conscious, it's our common sense.
Yeah.
And he used to tell me that I am the Helena of the family. And it's funny where I'm heading right now in life,
He
that I
saw
want
it.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to awaken people's consciousness. I want to be able to shift minds so that they can see their value, and they can take everything that they've been through together and make something beautiful out of it. So you're right. You're right. I don't. I wish I knew, but in a way, I'm glad I didn't, because there's no way of that process of finding myself and
Mm-hmm.
the desire and the passion to
Mm-hmm.
help other young women, especially figuring out and telling them that you're enough and you don't really have to go to college. I say that with a touch of salt, so to speak, but I thought going to school and finishing college and finding a professional job was it. I thought, it's not it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's journey is different, and it's okay to be you. It's okay. You don't have to be
Mm-hmm.
defined by somebody else's success.
Yeah,
And I think
it's
that's
okay if they
intentional
use
becoming.
it as a way to find a clearer image of
Absolutely,
purpose, a
absolutely,
clearer vision. But if
absolutely.
it's dangerous when you use it as a destination, the end
Uh-huh.
result,
Yeah,
and that's it. That's why people graduate with a bunch of debts and they are like, what now? I thought this was
absolutely.
it.
You see a lot of Friday worshipers, so to speak, like, oh, it's Monday, Black Monday, and then everybody else says it's Friday. You
Yeah.
give it all the nicknames, but life is meant to be enjoyed. I mean, the majority of the time we're in workplace, and if we don't enjoy it, then what is life? I mean, if we figure out the purpose, I think that's one of the reasons we can say find your purpose, so that you won't struggle. You won't work just to get paid. You won't
Yeah.
work just to pay bills.
You won't dread
Life,
5 days of a 7 day week.
absolutely. If it
Yeah.
is something you enjoy, if it is something you love, you swimming with the current, not against it.
Mm-hmm.
And you look forward to Monday because you have so many things you want to tackle. And so work become a play.
You
I
look
think that's
forward to
something.
Monday, or you are doing something that helps you accomplish your dreams and living on purpose on a Sunday morning and loving it. You
Exactly.
don't even need for
Exactly.
Monday to come back around.
Absolutely. Think
Yeah.
about it. Everything created in the physical world comes from our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we thinking on Sunday evening? Dreading Monday. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I have to. We're already setting ourselves to fail. We're already dreading what we're going to do on Monday. Is how are we going to be effective? How are we going to be efficient? How are we going to be productive? We all are already throwing rocks for us to have to be obstacled by them. So our thought process will be different if we're aligned to a purpose, and if we value what we do, if we enjoy what we do, if it is a play, if it is giving us fulfillment. Because fulfillment, joy, peace, they're intangible. You cannot touch them.
Yeah.
But people go for the monetary value of working, the
Mm.
cars, the houses, like you said earlier. I'm not saying they're not good. They are important. There's nothing wrong with them, but they shouldn't be the reason why we get up in the morning.
Mm.
They
Mm.
should be the byproduct. We get up in the morning to serve in the area that we are created for or
And
gifted
I'm
with.
going to bring you right there. I want you to help our listeners find their purpose. Someone is listening to us and they don't know what it is that they're here on this earth to do. Do you have a set of questions, or do you have a set of self discovery processes to follow that you recommend for people to get a bit closer to their purpose?
First of all, Timmy, that's a great question. First of all, if they're asking, they're right in the right spot.
Hmm.
The discomfort, the is this it question, or that feeling of void in their life, that's exactly where they're supposed to be. And most people avoid that, but that's the right way. That's the right place where you start. I encourage them to start searching. You might not find the answer right away, but when your channels are open, when you're looking, you will find, because your mind is searching for a particular thing. So asking the right questions. Most of the time, I said, our purpose is right under our nose. We are probably doing it, you know, but not to the magnitude. Or because we do it and we have it as a hobby, we don't give it value. I've seen that in so many people. It's something I do. You appreciate what they do. It could be an art. It could be like decorating something, or it could be they make the best cookie. I'm just throwing an example out there.
Mm.
You see them like creating a great presentation. It could be anything, but
Or
you
they
you
clean so
compliment them.
well. Yeah.
Yes, you compliment them, or they do hair very nicely, like they know how to cut, like you name it. There's so many. But the minute you compliment them, they say, "Oh, it's just something I do," or they kind of, you see them like shove it, like they don't give it value. There's your clue. If there is something that you do and people are complimenting you on, people are asking you to help them out in your spare time,
Mm.
that could be a good clue. You like in a family, there is something going on. You're the person people call. You're resourceful, or you know how to organize an event, or you are on time. Whatever skills that people are asking you to do, and you do it voluntarily. What we're doing, even if we don't get paid, we'll do it anyway,
Mm,
because the
mm, mm,
satisfaction is the energy that it gives us. It's the paycheck, so to speak. You
mm,
know.
mm,
So if you're doing something without getting paid and you get so much fulfillment out of it, that's a big cool right there. So
mm,
I would ask you, what makes you think? What makes you happy? What gives you joy? A joy that surpasses your situation, that you can't even explain it. And people think you're wasting your time, but you know how it feels. What is making you cry? Is it a child being starved, or an old lady not having a shelter? Or is it an animal that has been abused and left? Like, what is it making cry? What is a humanitarian thing out there that makes you cry? There are things that we notice more than anybody else. If you see a certain scenario, and somebody will pick it, like somebody should do this. We tend to say that.
mm,
If you are asking somebody somewhere out there if they could do that, hey, guess what? You paid attention to that because
mm.
you could be that person
There's a
who can
reason it
play
came
that
to
role.
you. Mm,
Exactly. There is a reason that popped out. How come I missed it?
mm,
So ask certain question. What am I skilled at? What comes natural to me? What are the skill set that I learned through school, out of school? You know, what are the experiences in life? Like maybe as a child, you had to cook and support your family, and now you are the best cook. But I think the painful experiences are the most important ones to pay attention to. So these
that's
are the bunch of questions that we should ask and write it down. What I suggest everybody is just create a notebook and just write down whatever comes your way. What are the people that you trust who would tell you about yourself? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? To compile that,
yeah. That is,
you'll be
it
able to, yeah,
requires self-discovery. That's what I'm hearing. There's a lot of
absolutely.
self-discovery that
Mm-hmm.
has to be implemented here. It's not as simple as, "Ah, what do I want to be?" And you just pick a
Oh
profession
no,
and you go with it.
oh
Or
no, oh no.
who's hiring? There's people
Because
people are
I'm,
asking that. And there is a way to make your purpose support your life. There is a way you can kickstart the process of, once you go through that self-discovery, once you figure out what that purpose is, then monetizing it, then making it pay you, making
yeah,
it sustain you, is another passage that you're going to go into once you do that. But the first step is to really self-discover. And when you said earlier, when you were sharing with us how you were in London and by yourself and away from family, I started thinking, I think solitude is a great
oh,
way
absolutely.
for people
Yeah,
to go into self-discovery. It kind of forces
yeah,
you into a corner. I know that's what it was for me. I couldn't run anywhere from myself. I was able to face myself. And that was a moment of solitude, not just one moment, but some months really, that I was by myself living in a small apartment in North Carolina. That's where really most of this just kick-started, all that self-discovery. The yearning really came too loud to ignore.
yeah,
So solitude, cutting out that noise, drowning out that noise that other people and society put into us, and going into that self-discovery is what
yeah.
I hear you saying, and finding out
Abs-
really, who am I? What do I like to do? What do I do?
mhm.
What do I love to do? What do I do so well?
Oh yeah,
And then who do I do it for? Who is who's the person who needs my
yeah,
expertise or the things that I do? And
Yeah,
then you go into making a living out of that from there.
exactly. What do I do if time and money is not the issue? Not the
Mhm.
issue. If I'm
Mhm.
not limited by time or by money, what would I do? And then the minute you start figuring it out, if you have to go to school for it, you go to school for it. You can take a course or you can shadow somebody, whatever it takes. But the minute you find it, you would know. You would know for sure. In a heart to heart, you would know. There would be this sense of fulfillment. There's not something I used to get teary eyed, like, oh my goodness, this is it. And then I used to whip. And it's not I'm not sad or anything. It's just a revelation kind of whipping, because it's just when you figure it out, it's just a beautiful moment. But it's a process that you have to be willing to take. You kind of touched on saying, can we pick something and become, it can be a purpose? It cannot, because you know why? The minute we face challenge, the first time we meet pain or challenge, or that the requirement, because a purpose requires you, because it's bigger than
Mhm.
it requires your time, your effort, your money. It requires everything from you. The minute you meet any challenge, you run. If it is your purpose, you stick to it. You might be challenged. I'm not saying that you don't suffer. There are times I cried. I was
Mhm.
like, is anybody gonna hear me? Am I talking to the wall? There was times that I cried. But then the next day, I'm up again. Was full of passion, ready to tackle whatever I can do on the day. So if it's not your purpose, you would know. If it is your purpose, you will go. You will die for
You
it.
can't
Period.
help it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
will die for it. If you're willing to die for it, then you can live for it.
Mm. I love that. Could there be, how do I say this? How do we incorporate the reality of some seasons into that, into the whole idea notion of purpose? For example, there could be someone listening out there saying, listen, I know what my purpose is. I know there's a fire that rages within me. I want to do it. I know what I'm good at. I know who to sell it to or who to serve with it. I
Yeah,
know the difference that I'm going to make. But right now, at this very moment, in this very season of my life, I cannot devote to that particular purpose because fill in the blanks. I'm a mom
yeah,
of five.
yeah,
I don't have enough money to start. I
exactly.
have to work just, to put food on the table right now. And I can't
Hmm.
give what my purpose needs out of me. What's
Yeah,
your advice for someone like that out there?
and that's a great point. Good. It's good to figure out the season of your life, because that's reality. We're not denying reality, right? But if it comes to your imagination, you close your eyes. Your imagination is what you see with your mind's eye, right? You close your eyes, you can see yourself be it. That means it's possible. It's not tangible, it's not touchable, it's not, it hasn't come to fruition. But the fact that you see it in your mind's eye, it means it's possible. You understand? Like, it
Mhm.
didn't come to me. Why didn't it come to me? That picture came to you. You
Mhm.
can see yourself being it. You can see yourself wearing a white gown. You can see yourself running your business. You can see yourself feed the children, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So it is possible. But at the season of your time, right the season, you might not be doing it. That doesn't mean you can't do it tomorrow. So what can you do today in order to prep you for tomorrow? You can be seeding right now. There's a time for seeding, there's a time for sowing, there's a time for harvest. So what can you do now? Can you read about it now? Can you start saving $1 a day now? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Whatever you can do for it to keep it alive. You don't have to be running with it. If you can't walk, you can crawl with it. The main thing is, are you in motion? Are you taking action? Because one action would lead to another, and then the resources would come. There is a quote that I love from John Wooden. He used to be I think, a basketball coach. He said, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. So are
Mhm.
we preparing for tomorrow, for that season, whatever that is?
Mhm.
So yeah, you have to put food on the table, you go to work. Good. But can you spare an hour a day to
Mhm.
read or take an online course, or to start creating that jewelry that you want to be, selling to? You understand what I'm saying? Like, can you
Mm.
practice what
Even
somebody's doing?
keeping that vision alive, when you think of it, even keeping the vision
Exactly.
alive is being obedient with that sense of purpose, because you could
Exactly.
relinquish it. You could say, to hell with this. I can't do this. It's too, I can't. It's not me, someone
Mm-hmm.
else do it. I don't
Yeah.
have the luxury, or whatever we may be telling ourselves not to pursue our purpose when we do know it. Keeping that vision alive, creating a vision board, engaging it, because there is a realm, the unseen realm of dreams and
Absolutely.
ideas.
Exactly.
And
Uh-huh.
those dreams and ideas, they want to be born into reality. They want to come to pass.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And I think I imagine them, they go from door to door, heart to heart, mind to mind,
Mm-hmm.
knocking. Many people have the same purpose of similar purposes. It doesn't mean it's only one purpose given to just us. There's many people who may share that
Yeah.
purpose, and being obedient with with the voice and the dream, and that soft whisper that we hear, just being obedient with that is something that's worthwhile, even though, like you said, we're
Absolutely.
not in the season of action, harvesting,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
producing something.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. We can do something. Like you said, we can keep it alive. And by the way, one of the questions you have to ask, what is it that I'm doing already that hasn't uh, been like that? I don't have the title for. You understand? Like, what is it? Like, you're already doing. For some people, they're giving advices. I used to do that. I used to gather people, talk about ideas
Mm,
before I got certified. So you probably doing it already, but not to you. It's not your profession. You're not fully recognized by it. It's something you do on the side.
mm,
Um, but yeah, you nailed it. Like
mm.
something with the dream
Yeah.
by talking about it, by searching about it, by accumulating money. Like there was this lady that told me, like, I know my purpose. My purpose is to open a charity, help children in Ethiopia. And I said to her, and she's like, no, I'm helping my son go to college. I can't do anything about it. And I said, are you on LinkedIn? Are you connected to people who does that? Are you learning from the
Mm,
major organizations out there who does this to a high level? Are you saving money? Like, are you collecting people, like-minded people who can be your board member? What are you doing now?
mm, mm. Yeah, that's so true. That's so powerful. And that season that we're going through, however different that it may be from the actual manifestation of that purpose, we're still being sharpened in some way in that particular state,
Exactly.
right?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh
As
yes.
parents, if it's, motherhood, I always come back to that, because I just had to take some time off to give birth and be with my little baby.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that thought that was an interruption on my purpose, on the
Yeah.
purpose, this, what I'm doing with you, what makes
Mm-hmm.
my heart beat faster, right?
Yeah.
But not just that, not just the maternity leave I took and everything else that motherhood brings, but really every single day I'm paying attention now, strengthens me in a very unique way that maybe yesterday did not strengthen me for. There's new challenges that bring new opportunities, for me to rediscover myself in a different way, which is preparing me for something in the future. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I think people out there also need to pay attention to that. If you want to, if your purpose is to start a business of sorts, you are getting those financial trainings right now in whatever season that you may be. You may not have gone there and completely, launched your business yet, but
Mm-hmm.
there are lessons that you're gathering from the season that you're in. If it's leadership, motherhood is teaching you a lot of things about leadership. So
Yeah.
the season is serving a purpose too, in a way.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I was gonna say, for those people who are saying this is not my season, and we use time, money, family, another financial commitment or other commitments. I'm taking care of my mom could be one of the reasons. But our excuses, if we're using them as excuses, we can turn them into our reasons. I was gonna say you can make a shift and say, okay, even though I'm raising kids, me fulfilling my dream is gonna help them find theirs and really live a purposeful life. So me living a meaningful life is gonna help my kids not just to randomly live and make money and pay bills, but they can be purposeful as to how they live their life. So the excuses we give not to start thinking we're not enough or we're not ready or we don't have enough could be the reasons as to why we have to start. So I think if we know our purpose and other things are stopping us, I say we're ready. We have enough and we are enough to begin. I say to begin because it's a process. But going back to interruptions, life, some interruptions are on purpose, right? Like you having the child. But some can come our way and they can hinder us. So what I'm learning right now is like there is a season, like I said earlier, there is a season. I mean, I was currently interrupted. I was ready to go to a women conference and I found out I was sick. I mean, I couldn't travel. I was COVID positive. And, that doesn't mean I didn't feel the tug on my stomach. I did. And I was kind of emotional about it. I mean, you know this. I had to go through the process of accepting it. But once I said to myself, okay, this is not meant to be, whatever is there to teach me, ready to teach me. And in a way, even though I was coughing and having fever and all that, I had that interruption gave me a chance to rest. So I believe we can't we can't have it all. I mean, so I was saying, if I'm not comparing myself, who used to say I got interrupted? Who can say that? Who can say compared to what am I delayed in a way, even though it's my journey. So my journey got interrupted and I'm not where I want to be. But then why am I comparing it to anything else? Maybe this is the time to be paused and to refocus, refresh, kind of figure out my priorities. Maybe I was running too much without figuring out what should come first. So, I mean, life throws us an interruption, but it could be just a delay. It doesn't mean we don't get there. So we can just shift our perspective. A purpose is not a sprint. It's not something. It's a marathon. It's so the interruption can actually weave the tapestry of our life. It can actually bring another fresh perspective in things, or plus a different nugget, a different way. Just like you said, your kids are teaching you leadership right there, because you have to succeed at home before you go out there anyway. So it's accepting some things. I think to me, accepting the things that you can't change, make peace with them, and striving to change the things you can. Can I change the fact that I was COVID positive? No, but what I did was, the story. I recorded, even though I was coughing, I was taking a cough drop, drinking water, but I recorded the whole session that I was gonna do and send it. So even though I wasn't there in person, the people that were attending that conference got my recording. So I can only control that part. I couldn't control not flying out. It wasn't a choice. I wasn't. I was. I was careful. I was one of those people who took precaution, but it happened. I couldn't change that. But what I could change is, instead of being crying about it, I could still record with, with the deep voice or whatever you call it, be able to share what I wanted to share virtually.
So
So
it showed you the importance of being flexible, shifting,
absolutely.
accepting, resting.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this was, like you powerfully put earlier, purpose isn't this place that we get to, like a destination that we
Yeah.
arrive at. It is the journey of becoming. And this was part of it. The obstacle
Exactly.
is the way. It
No
seemed to be
obstacle
an
is the way.
obstacle, but that was part of the way, which is exactly the way. So it
Yeah.
was amazing to see you go through it. And as a friend, I tried to hold that space for you because I knew it was a disappointment. I knew it was a gut punch for you, because I remember how much you were looking forward to that, how excited you were. I was so excited for you, knowing exactly the joy that it brought you. So when that interruption occurred, I knew you were going to process it and come out at the other end, not only accepting it, but knowing exactly what it brought into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you did, and it was just beautiful to notice. It was beautiful to go through that with you, and I'm so thankful for your life. I'm so thankful that you beat the thing.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, your voice, your breath is just very important. It's very important in our
Absolutely.
world, our youth. And I know you're very passionate about our youth, and they need you. They need a voice like this, especially in
Mm.
our society. I mean, not to go off topic and to just go stay with purpose, but there's so many things I can, talk about, things that you work on women to women, and on your personal page and the seminars, when people, you were just giving it for free. You weren't getting anything for your time. You were just serving. And especially in our society, Ethiopian, Eritrean, Habesha community, especially, this idea of purpose it's almost seen as a luxury, and
Absolutely.
we're given a couple of molds and we must fit in that, because there's this
Mm-hmm.
mentality of, if you don't become that, then you're not succeeding in life, and there's only so much to go around, so you got to go and get your slice. And I also call it that the immigrant mentality. We come here and we
Oh
we
yeah.
tell ourselves we are confined to doing XYZ and making X amount of dollars, and that's success. And many people are stuck in that rat race, thinking it's an upgrade because we came from lack,
Mm-hmm.
and just stuck there. Especially
Yeah.
when you think where you are is an upgrade, you don't see that there's work you need to do, and
Absolutely.
there's even better and bigger way to celebrate your life and to find purpose and live a meaningful life. And
Mm-hmm.
when you try to introduce that concept in our communities, people think of it as, some kind of wishful thinking and luxury. And voices like yours are important, especially in our youth, so they know
Mm-hmm.
that they are uniquely, fearfully, wonderfully made. And in
Absolutely.
each of their hearts and each of their souls is put a unique purpose that is worth their life, their whole life, to pursue.
Yeah.
Because all of it will
Exactly.
come, right? All
Yeah.
the other things will get them, the things that we talked about as we consider a fruit of success. But that's why we have millionaires and billionaires with a gap in their hearts and unfulfilled lives and sorrow,
Yeah.
because money's there. There's nothing to go out work hard for, but yet there's this emptiness because they're not aligned with their purpose. So that's just a long way of telling you how grateful I am for you. And
Mm.
please leave us with whatever you want to leave us. Let me give you the stage to
I have so much
take
more.
us home.
I don't want to stop. I want to keep talking to you.
Oh, me too.
This is
An
my
hour and
sweet
15
spot.
minutes. I think they understand how every
Oh,
day our conversations can go like a couple of hours and more.
yeah. I was gonna say when you mentioned the immigrant mentality, that comparison again, that comparison game that we play in our mind came to came to mind because it's a totally an inaccurate tool of measurement of success. It's so inaccurate because we're comparing it to being back home. We're comparing it to our past life, not to the potential that we're created for. So I think it's just we are setting up our success based on somebody else's success, or if we're setting up our failure based on somebody else's, then that won't be accurate. So we shouldn't compare ourselves. I think we should compare is our potential. But the main thing is for somebody with a purpose or somebody who's searching for a purpose, for me is the first thing is first. You really have to believe in your potential. I can believe in you, but if you don't believe in you, you won't succeed. So you really have to know that you are worth it. You are created. You are fearfully, wonderful made, just like Timmy said. So it should be your joy finding out your purpose because it really is will help you. We look forward to tomorrow. You would feel with so much hope. because you are making a difference. You're not just randomly created, and you're not a mistake. When I say that, some people are a mistake to their parents, but not to the creator, you know? So we all serve a purpose in life. So knowing that we are valuable, knowing that we have the potential to reach whatever that is that's screaming in our heart, then we should strive for it, and we should never give up, never ever give up. Um, there's no perfection out there, but you can strive for excellence every day in everything you do, and you'll get you closer to what you live for, what you're created for. And when you leave this world, which everybody will at some point, you better off than when you joined it. You leave your legacy, you leave your footprints. Um, and that I don't. That's how I want for myself. That's what I want for everybody else. I'm not any different, and Timmy is not any different for that matter. We're just ordinary people trying to do extraordinary things in this world, through what we can, contribute, share what we have, the experiences, the good and the bad and the indifference, because it all has a lesson. But my last point that I want to make is was just in response to your last comment. But the last message I want to give is, like most people, Timmy, I think you all agree, education is high rated. I'm not saying education doesn't give freedom. It helps a lot. It is the way for the most part. But if we could figure out, especially those parents like us, if we could help our children figure out what they're passionate about by just paying attention to what really get them lost in doing, it could be a mess. It could be. There was this lady that used to make so much noise, and the parents used to be called at school. And her dad used to say he would punish her, when he would give her that, he would make her face the consequences of her mistakes. But he would always say, I wonder how God is going to use that, you being talkative. And she is a worldwide, like, speaker now. So it could be something. It could be a child, like, dismantling something, and they're more creating a mess for you. But then there could be an engineer. So pay attention to our children, so that we save a lot of heartache and the process of finding out who they are. But so if they find what really tickles their heart, even for us, every single one of us, if we could find what really is in our heart and get a head knowledge, and I'm adding another H, and instead of the other way around, people go to school to get a head knowledge, but the longest distance, they say, is from the head to the heart. Unless it reaches the heart, unless we're passionate about it, it could be just a job, just a job, just to pay a bill. But if we find something that really, really pulls our heart, and we go ahead and get a head knowledge, then the impact would be hard. The hand, the impact when we work it, when we use our hands to do it, the hand impact, the third H would be much more impactful. And recently, a good friend of mine told me there is a fourth H, and the fourth H is help, and we help each other and make this world a better place. Because nothing great can be achieved by one single person, but me reaching my potential, me being the best version of myself, I'll be able to collaborate with you. I'll be able to, interdependent with you, and complete each other and serve each other well. So think about engaging our heart first.
Wow. I love you. I
love you
want
more.
to, after we end this podcast recording, I want us to come back talk again, if you don't have to go to sleep. I live off of these conversations. And like I said earlier, you mean so much to me. Your friendship means so much to me. You're food to my soul. And I absolutely bless the day we walked into each other's lives. And the future is just, it excites me. Everything that we're able to do individually and together, collaborating. So thank you so much once again, everybody. Helina Inside Out Transformation Group is her webpage. It's insideouttransform.com, insideouttransform.com. That's her webpage. On Facebook, you'll find her Inside Out Transformation group as well. Instagram is Helina, HELINA _ Inside Out Transform. You've heard her. You've heard her share openly, vulnerably, powerfully. This thing, we just unpacked purpose today, but there's just so much that she has to share. And her coaching business is also where she one-on-one accepts and helps clients navigate through different areas of their lives with different goals and different limiting beliefs that she helps transform their lives. So I can't say enough about her. I can't say enough about you. Heluye, thank you so much once again for making the time. And I know we'll share many other moments like this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tini. I appreciate for all the kind words. I'm so humbled by it all. And like I told you earlier, people come to your life for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. And I want ours to be a lifetime friendship. And don't forget, I'm the one who first reached out to you, so I always take that credit.
I will not. Yes, yeah, I will not challenge that.
Yes, thank you for saying yes to that dream. We always have to think about who is behind our obedience, and thank you for being obedient to do what you do.
My pleasure, my dear. Thank you.
And don't forget to support by liking, rating, subscribing, and sharing with your family and friends. Thank you so much, and see you with the next episode.